In just talking about Mycopunk, I can guarantee you this video will age strangely. That's because in trying to give you my interpretation of an early access game, I'm not just reviewing the experience I have in front of me, but a promise, and ultimately promises change both in intent and meaning. On one hand, I think given that you pay money for it in early access, you should review the experience in front of you and that's mostly it. But on the other, that sort of means however I frame this video, it won't be all that relevant a month from now. Effectively, early access games are a concept. They give you an idea, but the specifics change. If games are a sandwich, and please go with me on this one, then early access is the bread. It gives a solid foundation for all those toppings and can give you an idea of what that texture feels like as your teeth chomp down, but also like a sandwich, it's the topping that really make it shine, and without the cheese, foliage, and various residue in the way, I can really feel my teeth click together. Okay, I can acknowledge I've gone off the rails already, and I've only just started. Here's what I think of Mycopunk from my time with it thus far. But first, I'm incredibly happy to say that I've somehow hit 2,500 subscribers. Given I started the year with not much more than 500, I'm genuinely astounded by how much support I felt in just the last few months. I've set myself a goal to get to 3,000 this year, which would be absolutely monumental. If you'd like to show support, subscribing and maybe giving this video a like would help me out more than I think I can fully express. Thank you. So with Mycopunk we have the concept, we have the bread, but we don't have the fillings. Well, I can assure you the bread isn't mouldy so far, as much as that would be quite fitting for a shooter about blasting away little fungal growths. It's a pretty sardonic shooter that I think will be compared to the likes of Borderlands, and not just for its scratchy near comic book aesthetic. As robotic cowboy employees of Megacorp Saxon, you are sent into missions to extract data, clear out roadblocks, and exterminate a fungus that is ever expanding. It's a sort of sickly post-apocalypse where Earth has been destroyed by a terrorist group and Saxon are predictably hinted to be more liable than otherwise stated. It all has this nonchalant recklessness to it. The 4 classes you and 3 buddies can choose from all have different traits, and you are encouraged to hurtle through enemies, caring more about surviving than about accuracy. It does a good job of inducing those hell yeah endorphins, the same endorphins I felt playing the rather impeccable movement shooter Echo Point Nova last year. It's a little bit Void Bastards in presentation and tone, and a bit Deep Rock Galactic in approach. I can happily report that the gameplay feels great. Guns are weighty, and you have few enough hotkeys that the game almost feels like it incentivizes turning the brain off and just pulverizing things. The enemies in turn are also unique, starting with small claws that have purple limbs attached. Waves spawn in and they congeal together in a gross mass. If a claw is hitting from a distance and you shoot off that arm by firing at that creature's limb, another creature can pick that claw up and attach it to their body. This facilitates a real kill it with fire approach where you are shouting at your friends to destroy that shield module before another big bad enemy slaps it onto their forehead. This all leaves you analysing a group of enemies, waiting for the critical mass of guns and teeth to hit before you stop focusing on bodies and instead focus on their firepower. You are constantly put into the position of culling their weaponry just enough to start focusing on the creatures themselves and flitting back and forth. Once you've finished a mission, you call a drop pod and then have to survive until it arrives. On threat level 6, which is effectively the hardest level in the game right now, this gets very, very hectic. See, you get a certain amount of revives for each mission. On solo you get more, and in a group the revive activates when everyone in a crew is down. When killed, your body splits into 2 different parts and your friends have to join those body parts up again to get you back up. It's a bit of a gnarly process and one of those mechanics that feels very subtly thoughtful. Realistically, that specific revive system only really works with Mycopunk's setup, both logistically and in tone. That hyper-futuristic, late-stage capitalist big bad entity expending human lives for cash, the fact that you feel incredibly disposable immediately culminates in this sickly irony that fuels a gameplay loop that is fast-paced, brutal, and so flippant in tone. Throwing half a body at the other while in the middle of a lasso swing before firing a grenade off into a crowd is something that adds to the freelance worker / full-time robot cowboy thing. Grouping up with others makes you feel like both part of the team, and yet the humour instilled in friendly fire being on and, well, all the enemies makes you also feel a bit selfish. You can emote at any time, you can be the cause of a friend's downfall, you can also be their saviour. When in a flow state, and particularly in the more simplistic missions, it almost reminded me of playing Call of Duty Black Ops as a kid, with each player running around to train zombies and meeting up every now and then to catch up before running back to designated zones again. However, not all missions feel like this. There's a bin sorting mission where you put fuel in a car, escort that car to a rocket, and then make that rocket blast off. There's another where you connect satellites by building networks, and you can even grind on those network connections to get around the map quicker. Games rarely take more than half an hour at a time, and it makes that bread I was talking about feel so bite-sized and moreish. When you get out of missions, you can level up each class, unlocking new weapons as you go, but you also spend resources farmed in missions to buy upgrades. Upgrades are small modules that you place into your gun, your character, or your grenade. Each tree has limited modules, and the more explosive upgrades take up more space, so you have to Tetris your character by neatly fitting in as many as you can. As you upgrade your level, you not only get a skill tree where you can unlock modules to equip on your character, but also unlock more space on your character to put more upgrades. When you level up guns or grenades from killing enough bad guys, some levels give you specific rewards like resources, and others just give you one random upgrade. This means you are constantly encouraged to play with your class, and you can't quite solve your character. You can't fit everything, and therefore have to commit to the things you can fit. As you continue on, it takes longer and longer to level up. Missions grant you XP, with harder missions granting more, but even doing the hardest levels don't really give you all that much. This does slow you down in just a few hours, but it also encourages you to try new weapons or fit on a new grenade. There are 4 central mission zones to go to, offering different biomes, and these biomes hold different resources. If you find yourself in need of Romphus, you must complete missions in a certain area. If you like to constantly work towards a goal in multiplayer games, Mycopunk will let you do that for some time. I did personally start to get a little tired of the mission structure after around 10 hours, but I also suspect Mycopunk is a game at its best with a regular crew to go hunting with. You can even kind of tell this from the central hub. The HUB, as it's creatively called, is a small space base with a rocket in the middle of mission control, but it also has these little nooks and crannies and secrets to discover. Like Deep Rock Galactic, it's somewhere you can go back to and just sort of jump around if you found yourself in a conversation too good with your friends to want to hop into the next mission yet. As a digital version of hearing out the last of the song in your car before turning off the engine, it works well to give a kinda cozy, kinda creepy vibe. Just a few weeks ago, when talking about FBC Firebreak, the multiplayer spin-off to Control, I said it would have been better received if it launched in early access, and that's because early access comes with it the agreement to continue working on the game. It's funny that in its systems, Mycopunk is actually quite similar to Firebreak, yet I think it will be liked much more. This isn't just because of the goodwill that comes from the early access tag. Both games are class-based shooters with a focus on small assignments, with some offering a bit of variety and others being a bit straightforward. They both have upgrade paths where you can go through them quicker by hunting down optional resources. However, apart from the price, the biggest difference here is tone, feel, and promise. Here's where we get to those hypothetical fillings. As all good early access games should be, Mycopunk is a competent game right now and one with lots of promise. It's actively a fun game, if a bit rudimentary in some ways. Gameplay is engaging, the aesthetic and tone work perfectly for a no-nonsense, nonsense-filled French shooter, and sometimes that's kind of a literal description for me, but there's also lots of room for this to grow. More missions, perhaps with the ability to randomly matchmake around them, will make the game feel more cohesive. As well as this, I'd like to see the upgrade path go a little quicker, alongside more upgrades that offer more explosive changes to builds. There are naturally some glitches, like the sprint button stopped working momentarily at one point, and it sometimes told me I'd failed missions I hadn't, but I expect these to be cleared soon, as is the case with early access games. A thing I really did like is Mycopunk's atmosphere. There are these moments where it's hammering you with almost space prog music, fungus creatures clamoring over each other to get to you, and you whipping away into the distance, where it feels both captivating and like a perfect facilitator of conversation with pals. Something I'd love to see a lot more of is its story. What we have so far feels like a decent backdrop for the game, but nothing quite dedicated yet. It doesn't really build on that premise, or at least as far as I've been able to make out, and given its tone, I'd like to really see it justify itself. There's an irony here, and one that can be weaponized to say something, but it hasn't quite yet. A lot of the way it plays with the idea of this megacorp being bad feel unexplored, which again isn't a problem inherently, but I'd like to see more from it. I think what can make something like this flip from caricature to something interesting is that nuance between the lines, the way it interacts with you, the player, and what it has to say. Mycopunk gestures at a lot right now, but doesn't actually feel like it's saying anything. It does, however, give me enough strands to believe there could be something on the horizon, an asteroid hurtling through space, just a few miles off crash landing and blowing that perspective in a different direction. It's worth noting, however, that Mycopunk is both a time-intensive genre and one that's pretty competitive. The aforementioned Firebreak helped shine a light on this problem, though I suspect Remedy wants much bigger player figures out of it than Mycopunk's devs playing with pigeons wants from it. It does have to compete in some sense with Deep Rock Galactic, Risk of Rain 2, Helldivers 2, and a whole host of others in one way or another, but there's also room for games like this to coexist. It just needs to give players a reason to add it into the Jenga game that is their current game rotation. Fundamentally, when I say the things I do about Mycopunk, I want this video to age badly. I want any criticism I can levy early on to just be wrong, and I want you, the listener, to understand that I also acknowledge that expectations from a game like this are just different to a full release from a major studio. This is not just what makes early access hard to talk about, but also what gives it so much heart. Players, especially in a growing multiplayer game like this one, can feel like they're moving alongside development, giving perspectives that might in some small way actually shape where it goes. Being published by Devolver and already picking up pretty good views on trailers, I think there's potential for this game to come hurtling out the gate, and all I'd really like to see is it stick that landing. I can't wait to see the sandwich here, and sometimes plain toast can hit just as hard, but I think I've already hit my limit for now. You've just got to hope you're still hungry for the full meal by the time it comes around. And thank you for watching my video on Mycopunk. This was a fun one to write, a fun one to play, and interesting. I think where this goes could be great. It definitely feels quite rudimentary, as is expected, and there's grounds for something interesting here. I just hope that it gets the support it needs, and I hope the developers have a grander vision than what is in front of us right now. Either way, if you like this, please let me know. Please subscribe, like, comment, all of those things. If you have anything you think I should check out, or there's something on the horizon you think should be on my wish list, let me know. I'm trying to listen a little more to what people want to hear, or not really what they want to hear, what they want me to try and dig into. So if you have anything in mind, I just really appreciate hearing it. Either way, getting to 2,500 subscribers has been incredible. My goal this year was to hit 1,000, and the goal was to hit that by December. So to think I'm 2.5 times that goal and only just over halfway through the year is astounding to me, and I feel incredibly lucky, because I know it's luck. I know my videos getting into people's feeds and YouTube choosing to show them to anyone is something out of my control. So the fact that some people are sticking around and choosing to continue listening it's a real honor. I appreciate anybody who's got this far. To be fair, I appreciate anybody who's clicked on the video at all, but especially if you can hear these words, then no, I appreciate you watching. If you want to subscribe, that would be great. I'd love to hit that figure this year. Thanks.